Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. I'm Chris, this is my channel. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with me here today. And of course, folks, we are officially in Yojo June, and it kicked off officially with a fan stream that took place this last Wednesday on the Hasbro Pulse YouTube channel. So in today's vid, I'm going to go over the name-only reveals, the render reveals, and the pre-order reveals that they did on the fan stream. Talk about the teaser they dropped in at the end and offer some thoughts and commentary from my point of view. So a little bit of an overview, but also a little bit of, hoity-toity, highfalutin YouTube opinion stuff. So by the end of this video, you'll know everything that was revealed and, know what I think about it, basically. So let's get into it. So as I said, it took place on Wednesday, which was the 4th of June. During the intro piece to the live stream, Emily on the team there said that they were going to be doing something once a week, every week for the whole month. What that looks and feels like, they didn't really give any further information, except for a wee little tease at the end, which I'll come to later on in the video. So we don't really know if that means we're getting a fan stream a week, or whether it's going to be some social media drops, or what. Time will tell on that front. I did want to mention the team for a minute, just pause here, and I know I've said it before when I've done these kind of like fan stream overview, stroke review type things, but these guys really help the experience. I mean, ultimately, the fan stream, it's a marketing exercise. Here's some stuff, go and buy it. That's the up and down, left and right of it all, is like, here's some stuff, go and buy it. But this is the only team that I ever watched from Hasbro on one of their live streams that just genuinely communicates some energy, some dynamic, and some passion for the line down the camera to me. Certainly Lenny and Tony, making little jokes about the fact that Lenny says every figure is his favourite figure ever, and the little kind of quippy, bantery bits that go on in amongst them all, including Emily. It really helps me see myself in them and helps me feel like they get me as a customer. I mean, sometimes in the products that doesn't always come through. I look at it and go, well, I'm not sure you're getting me there. But anyway. But it's a great stream. It's got a lot of energy and passion. They really put the other teams, to shame, really. I'm sure they're all lovely, the Black Series guys and the Marvel Legends guys. I'm sure they're all lovely if you meet them in person, but they just don't. Their screen presence, their delivery, it just doesn't sit the same with me as it does with these guys. And therefore, I find the stream an interesting event, and they make me feel a bit less like it's just a marketing exercise. I will say, however, though, once again, just utterly ashamed at the behavior of some of the people in this community. Why they feel like they could just, keyboard warrior it the way they do in the chat. Honestly, it disgusts me. It actually disgusts me. It makes me feel ashamed to be a part of this community and think that I might be viewed in any way similar to those people. Just stop watching. Just give up. The Emily hate all the time. It's unnecessary. It's off the mark, in my opinion, which I think is pretty objective on this subject compared to yours, you fucking idiots. And what are you actually achieving? What are you actually achieving? It's disgusting, and it has to stop, please. Anyway, I close it now. Don't even look at it. But I feel for these guys. They're putting themselves out there in an event of this nature, and this is the response they get. What do you want them to do? Just stop altogether? Okay, well, I don't know what you're trying to achieve. Honestly, ashamed. These guys, though, super proud of them. Think they're doing a great job. Emily, Tony, Lenny, you're excellent, and I really enjoy your work. So let's now talk about the name-only reveals. They dropped 2 name-only reveals on us, as Emily says, following their usual cadence of a fan stream. And the first name-only reveal was the Steel Core Sentry Defense Post. I think I jotted that down correctly from when Tony was saying it. He himself was struggling to get the whole sentence out. No further information was given. We can only speculate at this stage what it might be. One might hope that we get something like this, a checkpoint alpha, a modernization, a new classifiedized version of checkpoint alpha there. Oh, by the way, these vintage pictures that I'm using in this video today are from the excellent website Yojo.com, the only place I go to get my vintage information, my vintage G.I. Joe information, and you should too. Although I realise now that I've set up my production scene so that it's actually covering the link. It's Yojo.com. What an idiot. Look at that for production values. Dickhead. But anyway, that would be my, my deepest hope, dream, and desire around this, that we get some sort of checkpoint alpha. The use of the steel core label in there is indicating possibly, it's going to be a set with a figure like the Trench Viper with the Portaloo. That might not be the only option, of course. We've got the vintage set that was called the Defense Bunker? No, not Bunker. I've forgotten the name. God, someone will correct me in the comments down below. You're always pretty hot on that. So something like this would be good, give it a bit of variety, although I imagine if they want to continue the Portaloo, the... oh, God, I've actually forgotten the real name. The Cobra, still got the box, hang on. Modular fortification. If they want to replicate the modular nature of the Cobra fortification, then possibly checkpoint alpha, possibly the defense bunker here are not right. The sad truth is that there's some part of me wonders if it's just going to be a kind of bit of a repaint job of the defense fortification, in a set of Joe colours with a Joe logo on it, which would be a shame. I'd be a bit more disappointed on that front and would likely lead me not to make the purchase. But one can only hope. Let me know your speculation in the comments down below. Then we had a second name-only reveal, which was the Desert Scorpion with Pet. One of the early 90s figures from the vintage line there. I was actually kind of out of G.I. Joe by this point, but I've obviously, since in the years gone past, gone back and seen one, had a nosy at one, familiar with them as a character kind of thing. Once again, thanks to yojo.com. Here's the Desert Scorpion and Pet, the 1991 vintage edition, the V1. So a really interesting character. I love the barmy shit, so the whole look and feel of this would appeal to my sensibilities. And obviously, Lenny mentioned the Pet too, so we got the Scorpion Pet here from the vintage figure as well. Although, what I wouldn't be surprised about is if we saw this version instead. This is the version 2 from much, much later. I didn't note down the year. I'm not familiar with this one directly myself, but I think maybe 2013. So this is a later version of the Desert Scorpion with like a robotic version of the Pet. And just kind of knowing a little something about, Lenny's thought process and some of the other releases that we've seen kind of modernized versions of, I'm thinking like Raptor, for example, the upgrade on Raptor, where they kind of mechanized the wings, for example. This could be on the cards. That said, they certainly don't shy away from the creature companions either. I'm just not sure they would go down that route with a creature companion with a giant scorpion. I think they would pass that one in the kind of classified vision of the of G.I. Joe as a robotic companion like this. However, let me know in the comments down below what your hopes, dreams, and desires are about that. But if I was a betting man, I think this is what we're probably going to see. However, what we do know is that we've had the Desert Scorpion and Pet name only revealed. Now, folks, on to the render reveals. And the first render reveal they gave us was the Ore Striker, which we had seen before. And to be fair, they commented, they said, you've seen this already, but we didn't have Lenny's notes on it at the time, so we're revisiting it. I've shared my thoughts already as well, so please, I'll put a link in the description down below to the related video where I discussed this render the first time around. I'm not going to dwell on it in terms of this video. I'm just going to move on to the next one, which was the Legacy Series Police Officer, or as I've labelled the file, Legacy Popo. This looks like a fun set. I like it for the same reasons that I like the Firefighter and like the Fresh Monkey Fiction, what they called Soldiers of Fortune. No, not the Soldiers of Fortune stuff and the General and the Spy and what have you, because they kind of got a generic feel, which I get could be frustrating for people who want new characters, but it has a nice generic feel to help you with your world building, can help you with your kind of diorama stuff, and also to integrate G.I. Joe Classified and have it interact more across lots of different lines. I mean, I can see, like the Firefighter, I can see a place for this in a collection for, a Marvel Legends fan who wants to throw a police officer into the mix, taking orders from Captain America, put a cord and all that, so I could just see it integrating well and having a sort of generic use across your whole collection. And it's a fun figure, got the two different ethnic origins in there, so you got your head swap. The Riot helmet looks great with the poncho as well. Different type of Riot shield that we've not seen in the line before too, which is really lovely. Love the little world building touch with the Cup of Joe. That's nice. Nice little play on words there, Lenny. I see you. Not sure about the shotgun. I probably would have preferred something just like a more simple pump action. Like we got with Covergirl, the first Covergirl, for example. But yeah, loads of nice stuff in there. The policeman's cap, got the shades, all various kind of copper equipment with the handcuffs and the truncheon and all you guys in the States would call it a baton. The flare gun, the taser. So yeah, just nice. Looks like a full package there in terms of what it's got going on. Can integrate well into any part of your 6-inch figure collection. And the sculpt looks good. You know, the head sculpts look great. The kit looks great. Yeah, I'm into this. On board, totally. Next, we had the Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack. One I've been sitting in wait to see for a little while now. And I've got to say, folks, I think this one's a bit of a disappointment, isn't it? Isn't it? I'll start with the thing that's really kind of bothered me. Mercer. Like, the head sculpt here, if I just zoom in on that, look at the two head sculpts. I don't know. They don't look right. They don't feel right. They don't look right. There's something a bit... I don't know. Again, it's one of those where if it gets realised in 6-inch plastic form, it might look and feel a bit differently. We've definitely seen a few head sculpts on renders where we've gone, could be a bit dodgy. And then on the day, it's been all right. Of course, we have seen some head sculpts where we've gone, looks a bit dodgy, and then does turn out to be dodgy. Okay. So I might be hasty on the head sculpt, but I'm not liking it. And, because I'm a G.I. Joe the movie fan, and the nostalgic association I had for this character was what was driving my hunger for him in the line. The hair's just not, it's just not tall enough. It's just not kid and play enough. You know what I mean? Value-wise, it's good. 2 heads. We've got a more kind of vanilla standard resting face, but then that kind of mercery growl looks good. Like the uniform and stuff, clearly very vintage-inspired. I was looking over it. I'm trying to remember, trying to pin down the reuse. I thought maybe... Copperhead's legs, perhaps, but Copperhead's legs didn't have the pouch pocket, so I think maybe they just kind of Frankenstein this one together. So looking good on that front, but also then when you put him next to Slaughter, he looks a bit short and stunty, and I feel like Mercer was a bigger, bulkier character, like he should be of an equivalent kind of height and width to Sergeant Slaughter. I grabbed me Copperhead and me Sergeant Slaughter, the first versions. I was sort of standing them next together, looking at the height difference, and thinking, well, it's actually not that much height difference, but in the digital render here, the height difference. So I don't know. I feel like Mercer's looking a bit short and stunty as well. So head sculpts I'm a bit wary of, a bit short and stunty. And then Slaughter himself is just not giving me enough variety to make me ever want to display any other Slaughter than this one. Fundamentally, that's an opinion thing. I'm being totally subjective here because... if you want the desert look and feel, you got it there. The accessory selection is great. The extra hats like the beret and the cap. I like this big old revolver here as well. And the addition of the holsters on the thighs and stuff. He's got the hand swaps. They made a big deal on the stream about the head with the whistle, which of course you can head swap onto this one. You can never have enough aviator sunglasses in your action figure collection, so that's good. Also, it's stacked up with weapons. Look at this, like the big old belt-fed shotgun. I think that's new. Is that new? I don't recognise that, or have we seen that in, was that in like the Valkyrie set or something maybe? Again, you guys are much better recalling that sort of stuff, but maybe one of the Army Builder multi-packs had that in before. I don't think I've got one of them though. So a great, massive selection of weapons, all just to kind of feed into the bits box, which is great. Mercer's got some shades. Look at that big old, hatchet for the Sarge. So, it is a good value pack. As much as I would have wanted Mercer just on his own, I don't want nor need a second Sergeant Slaughter. But when you look at it in terms of the value, it's got loads of extras thrown in. But I have to confess, I'm actually a little bit tentative and feeling a bit disappointed because I probably am going to end up getting it because I want some Mercer. Unless those head sculpts come out really awful, But yeah, I don't know. That's going to be what, a 60 quid set? And I only want half of it. This is a bit Marvel Legends-y. I feel like Marvel. I've moaned about Marvel Legends doing this a lot. They've done it recently as well, like with Psylocke. I wanted Psylocke. I don't want that fucking Thanos. Not interested at all. Anyway, So there you go. But please, again, I'll invite you as always to head to the comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. So that was the renders, but we also had some pre-order reveals on the day, and whew, yeah, this is a lot of fun, this section, because I've seen a lot of like here. To get us started, they showed off Budo, who is looking great. There was a leaked digital render picture late last week, I think, from the Full Force podcast, from our man Chris over at the Full Force podcast, which looked outstanding just on the digital render front. But then the figure himself in front of us looked amazing. Not only because the Shooting the Galaxy photos just always somehow managed to make me change my mind and want to buy a thing, but also the live demo that Lenny was doing showing off the figure. Just the modular nature of all that, that classic look, historical samurai armor in there, but then also the fact that you can break it all down and mix and match it around with he was saying the shoulder pads are removable, you got the two different armor styles in there that you can chop and change around. Just really awesome. Love that. I love it when I got a lot of playability and a lot of interesting options. The head sculpt looks really awesome. Got a lot of personality and something a little bit different about it. It's a deluxe set, so we're getting two different head sculpts in there, the face masks and the helmets, all the different armor combos. Yeah, I'm really into this guy. Loving it. Absolutely loving it. Just it's that kind of that wacky space that G.I. Joe exists in sometimes for me. It's a martial arts specialist who's rambling around with a submachine gun in his great grandfather's samurai armor or whatever it was Lenny said. So really good. The sculpt looks great. Everything about this one really sold on this guy. I mean, look at that. Look at that up there. Oof. That's just brilliant. Love that. Really love that. And that armor, that samurai armor. And it looked like it might have been a bit bulky and a bit stressful when we saw the digital render, but then when we saw the live demo, and Lenny was saying all the stuff like, these arm pieces can come off, you can change these bits on the front of the ankles, I'm pretty sure he said. So, all really great. I tell you what, I've just noticed the blood on the end of that blade there. Is that little spot of blood paint on the actual mold? I'll have to go back and have a look at the picture with the box now, which I haven't prepped up for this video, sorry folks, but yeah, awesome. And there's the other head sculpt just while I'm at it. Yeah, really great looking figure. Really great looking figure. Enjoy this one. I'm going to enjoy this one. I can feel it already. Then it was Slice and Dice. Again, I've spoken about Slice and Dice a few times because we've had leaks and stuff, backdoor leaks at the factory and things. I just set up this one picture because it just kind of has everything on it that I kind of wanted to talk about with regards to the figures. The first, of course, is, these helmets look great. Look at that. I was wondering how this was going to pan out because the leaks didn't really kind of communicate what was going on there, but that kind of Scorpion version one and this Dragon version one looks outstanding. Really loving the look of the figures. Again, just kind of exploring that sort of martial arts element to the G.I. Joe world. These two, of course, for comic book fans, are a strong shout because they've been featured characters in a number of storylines. One thing that did stand out to me, and you can see it in this picture. I don't know if you guys can see it looking at the picture through my picture, if you know what I mean, but some of the weaponry was looking a bit plasticky, had a bit of a plasticky vibe, which, I was a bit like, don't know about that. The weapons, some of the weapons felt like a little bit of a letdown. But overall, a great package. I mean, there's tons of stuff in there. Hand swaps, head swaps, weapons, the rice fields hat with that Lenny said has been designed to also be a kind of defensive stroke offensive shield type weapon with spikes on it and things. Just really great. In fact, actually, if I zoom in, you can probably see what I mean with the look at the plasticky look on some of these weapons. Kind of lets down the whole look and feel after all the great sculpting here with the shoulder pad pieces of armor and the metallic paint up on the face masks on the heads there. And the belt buckles and stuff, that selection of weaponry is a bit of a letdown. Could have really done with a more kind of metallic paint vibe on it. I feel like there's a cost-cutting corner there. But yeah, totally loads in there. Tons, lots of fun. It's, the man-child play opportunity with this pair looks great to me, so I'll definitely be going in on this. And then lastly, on the pre-order reveals, we had the Hawk and MMS. Popular set. I saw knocking around, some folks on Discord and such like, my Joe Bros on Discord. The more OG-13 classic look of Hawk here is popular, for sure. It's actually not for me. I like the leather jacket, General's helmet, the pattern style helmet, much better. And I'm going to skip this one for a couple of reasons. Regulars around these parts know that I try and minimize my big chunkier vehicle-y type things, purchases because of space issues. I've also had to make a budget decision. We've got so many undelivered pre-orders out there at the moment across the lines that I collect that I just couldn't commit to. I had to decide to drop something. But, like I say, the OG13 Looker Hawk wasn't quite fully for me. The MMS is not something I think I'll find myself using a great deal with the type of photos and displays, that I do with my Manchow play. But all that said, looks good. I mean, it does look good. It looks up to the usual standard. Obviously, the MMS based very heavily on the HISS tank, the ancillary HISS tank set. So we know something of, it articulates and moves, and it's got the stanchions for launching and stuff. Loads of gear in there for Hawk. It's got the classic blonde hair as well. Tons in there for folks to like and get excited about. This one's just not for me. There was a little thing about Cold Slither, which I can't be asked talking about now, but there was, right at the back end of the video, a cheeky little Haslab tease. And I jotted down some quotes. I think most of you who watched the stream will have picked up on this. Emily was dropping in a bit of language there. Cool, pretty chill, keep it frosty, a few lines there, which might be pointing us in the direction as to what the Haslab will be. And she said they'll be launching the Haslab at the end of Yojo June. So thanks again to yojo.com for the images. But the leading speculation, of course, from cool, pretty chill, keep it frosty, frostbite, snowcat, I think this is the leading speculation. And I would be very surprised if it was anything other than this. And while I don't really do the Haslabs, again, budget and space, same reason as always, I'd be very interested to see what type of stuff they do with this set. Because, the HISS tank, the Rattler and the Dragonfly, they've done interesting kind of modern 6-inch scale interpretations, twists of those classic vehicles, and I think this one's got a lot of opportunity to be, really quite interesting and really something different. So watch this space, but they said launching at the end of Yojo June, so I'm sure you'll all be tuning in to see what that's all about. But yeah, the leading speculation from those little clues is the Snowcat with a frostbite driver. So there you go, folks. That's my Yojo June fan stream review, stroke overview, stroke commentary. As I've said a couple of times through the video, I invite you to head to the comments down below and share your thoughts. What's got you excited? What's going to be high on your pre-order list? What's got you buzzing? What's got you disappointed? I'd love to hear from you guys and hear what you think about this stuff. Obviously, they're doing something every week, so I'll be returning myself to the Yojo June theme as the weeks go on through the month, as well as some videos I've planned and prepared to make this month on the side, still on a Yojo theme, but obviously I'm unofficial Chris videos, MoDXtra videos. So thanks for watching, folks. Do all the YouTubery stuff if you enjoyed this, found it useful, blah, 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 blah. But the main thing really is I hope you have a great day, and I'd love to see you around these parts again sometime soon for another video. So come back again, will you? All right, take it easy.